Hello and welcome. My name is MiniBetrayal and this is Dyson's Sphere program, where I've done a little bit of work since the end of the last episode just off camera. So you can see here, if you compare this to the end of the last episode, I've put in a few more of those oil refineries just to help get a little bit more oil, to help get a little bit more sulfuric acid. And if you look closely down towards the lower right side of the screen there, you can see that there's a splitter on the sulfuric acid line. That just is now, instead of waiting for the aluminium alloy to overflow or fill up, it's now splitting it half and half between graphene, which we have some of now in the inventory, and the aluminium alloy. So let's do some stuff. So yeah, I'm just going around picking up a bunch of stuff that we're going to need, and then we are heading, I thought we were heading back to Anaqua. Apparently I'm going all over the place first. Oh yes, I'm refueling myself first, then we're going back to Anaqua. So that is over in this direction, and when we get there we can use some of that graphene to make the purple boxes, and then we've basically got all of the stuff now. We just need more of it. So now we can actually start setting up our little plan. So when we get here to Anaqua, there we go, we're going to first recharge ourselves, of course, just a little bit quicker than waiting for the hydrogen fuel rods I've got. So the particle containers there, we need the graphene, they need some copper, I think that was, and the green motors, the green engines. What was it needed that? No. I'm not entirely sure what I just looked at there. This is the downside to not recording the commentary immediately after recording the video. This is like two and a half days old now, this recording. It might have been one of the engines maybe? But yes, because of course we've got the logistics system set up to actually ferry the power back and forth. We need the spaceships to actually do the ferrying for us. So for the spaceships, I've just got a little chest there pulling off the green engines into a storage area. So I'll be able to use those to make the green engines. And then over here, I'm making more green engines, essentially. So it's a little bit of belt spaghetti because we've got this copper line sneaking through, and I need to get everything sort of around that, but I eventually managed to find a way of doing it so I can double up on the green engine production. You can see that it's the same kind of setup. Unfortunately, oh no, it does work. I just had them spaced a little weirdly, but no, yeah, we can get it to work. A little bit of power in the middle gets everything set up. And then just plugging the belts in. So that's gears, I think, on the left, iron on the not quite so left, coils down the middle, and then the green engine comes out on the right there. But then we start losing power. So we don't have an entire equatorial solar power ring on this one, so every planetary day will sort of run out of power. So hopefully we'll be able to solve that. So there we go, starting to get some things set up. We've got some purple boxes now, and we can start making our things from that. We need at least two interplanetary, or interstellar, in fact, interstellar logistics stations. One on each end. We'll need the ships to ferry them back and forth, and we need the energy accumulators. So back to first landing, and I must admit I can't remember what we're going back to first landing for. I appear to be missing a step. So what are we doing over here? We are going to get titanium alloy. Yes, I forgot to bring titanium alloy with me, that was it. So we can start making some energy exchanges now at least. So we've got that. Pick up a little bit more graphene as well, because why not? Charge up, and then we'll head back to first landing and actually start making some stuff. Sorry, not back to First Landing, back to Anaqua. So on Anaqua, depending exactly how much is running at any given time, we've got, I think, about, give or take, it's at maximum at least, about 100 megawatts of power draw. So that's going to be sort of what we aim for to start with, at least. But yeah, back to Anaqua, we've got the energy exchangers on the way. More research in the meantime, of course. And then back over here where we've got the graphene to drop off, purple boxes to pick up, and eventually we'll be able to start making the 2 interstellar logistics stations. In the meantime, though, I'm going to pinch some of that graphene to upgrade blue motor speed. Because, well, I missed a step there. I used some of the graphene to make a Mark II assembly machine to upgrade the blue motor speed. But then looking at the green motors, I think the issue here is a lack of iron. So yeah, that is what I'm doing here. I'm trying to find a way to sneak in an extra iron line, and I almost accidentally merged it onto the gear line there, but luckily I managed to solve that in time. Now, I do manage it in the end, but yeah, I'm having a bit of trouble figuring out how to merge the 2 lines. So I do some weird belt shenanigans and twisting around corners like that. Get it working in the end. I think just watching this back, I've actually thought of a more elegant solution, so we might revisit that. Then over to pick up some titanium, and that will allow us to make the interstellar logistics station. So, just keeping an eye on the power, just watching the solar panels come onto the daylight side, and we're going to head up to the North Pole. So, similar to my Twitch series, I'm going to do all the sort of power stuff on the North Pole. So we need to request in full accumulators and send out the empty accumulators. So we'll set a remote demand for the full ones and remote supply to the other. And I'll just request 2,000. So that should keep a nice buffer in storage. Now it's going to take us a long time to fill that buffer, but we'll get there eventually. Okay, then there is the accumulator, which goes to a discharge mode. And then, what am I doing here? Ah, yes, we need to get the those empty accumulators, which we are making on this planet. We need to feed them into the system. So that's what this belt is for. So this belt is just going to go straight into the logistics station, but side loading, as you can see there. So it side loads on the belt that comes out from the energy exchanger. That means accumulators that are already in the system will have priority, so we don't end up accidentally flooding the system and backing things up with empty accumulators. That is my hope. I do end up changing the belt structure around there a little bit later. I decide, yeah, I'm not going to do that with inserters. I will just carry them and put them in myself. So we've got, that was about 150-ish empty accumulators in the system. So we can make ourselves some spaceships. I've got 10 spaceships there on the way, as well as the second logistics station. Yeah, just having a look at the power to see how many of these things we're going to need. And I start figuring out a semi-elegant way of sort of chaining these up, and don't come up with anything useful. Well, at least not on my first attempt. So yeah, this is where I sort of rejig the belts. So the full accumulators will flow out from the logistics station. They will go around a ring, and they will split outwards through the energy exchangers, and then the empty ones on the outside will come down, back around, and then be side loaded on with the new ones. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. So we've got that set up, and then not strictly speaking not necessary, but if I've got 10 ships on this side, I decide maybe I want 10 ships on the other side as well. It doesn't really matter as long as you've got ships on at least one end of the logistics run, if you like. But yeah, so I start gathering stuff for that. May as well take a bunch of solar panels with me. Unfortunately, I make a big mistake here, and if you look down the lower left corner of the screen on our way to Othala 1, which is the current name of our power planet. Oh no, not the left hand side, right in the middle there. I'm starting to make the ships now, but I just filled up our inventory with solar panels, so I ended up losing a couple of ships, which was kind of annoying. I ended up just deleting something. I don't think it was anything magnificent. Then here we are back on Othala 1. Next episode I will pick my choice for what we're going to name it. So, similarly, we're going to have a station, or I'm going to have the logistics station on the North Pole. So, just measuring out where these sort of intermediate power towers want to be to get the power from the equator where it's being generated up to the North Pole. These are at max distance. Okay, here we are at the pole. There is the logistics station, and this is going to be similarly set up, except this will be requesting the empty ones and supplying the full ones. And I'm pretty much going to set up the accumulators, not the accumulators, set up the energy exchanges in the same way, except I had enough stuff to craft 7 of them, so we've got 4 over here. So they will come out and go around on an inner ring, splitting out, and these ones are on charge mode, of course, and these ones will go around the edge, if I can find it. There it is eventually, and back in to the logistics tower. So a little bit of belt work later, and hooking things up with power. And then this should start working essentially immediately. The downside is, and this is what I'm looking at here, the logistics vessel carrying capacity is 200. And the way I've got things set up is that they will only move if they've got a full inventory. So I need to wait for a full 200 empty accumulators to be in the demand station before the supply station will get them. So while I wait for that, I spend some time putting in a few more solar panels. I may as well, right? And I get myself a little bit of extra drone speed in the drone speed research in the meantime. So yeah, we've already done quite a lot of this, and no one pointed out the mistake I made, and at this point even I haven't realized the mistake I've made during this. And you'll actually see my reaction to it when eventually I do recognize what's going on. But for now, we're just adding in more solar panels, another ring, picked up enough for another 2 rings, I think. It was 333 to go all the way around. I'm not sure we had the 666 we needed, number of the beast. But yeah, we'd certainly put in a whole bunch of solar panels. Yeah, so is this where I notice it? I think it is. Yep, there is a gap there where there shouldn't be. Yeah, so it takes me a little bit of time figuring out exactly what I want to do, and in the end, yeah, just making sure that gap does indeed go all the way around the planet. So just to be a little clearer there, yeah, that bottom line of solar panels on the screen now, that wants to be 1 grid square further south to actually butt up against the ones that are on the very equator. So I'm going to get rid of them all and put them back in, because if I don't, that's just going to bug me. So I'm going to get rid of as many as I can within the extended reach distance that I've got because of the mod I'm using, and just replace them essentially. So that's even more time spent on this little bit. Not the best viewing experience, I know, but yeah. So what I'm thinking for the future is that probably between episodes, what I will do is I will fly over to Anaqua, grab a bunch of solar panels, fly to Othala 1, which will be named in the next episode. If you have any good suggestions, leave them in the comments, and depending when I end up recording it, it may be there in time. But yes, I'll fly to Anaqua, pick up a bunch of solar panels, fly to Othala 1, and just place down a couple more rings of solar panels, or a couple more power things, depending on sort of what level we are of the game and such. So that way you don't have to look at it, and then I can just sort of mention it. Much as I did at the beginning of this episode, it'll be like a kind of, hey, by the way, I did this. It was all boring and repetitive, you don't really need to see it. Okay, so we're putting in the fourth ring again. Remember, we're actually just moving the third ring over by one and then putting in the fourth ring. So kind of doubling up on work we've already done, which is doubly annoying, I guess. But yeah, this actually gets us not an insignificant amount of power, actually. We'll have a quick check once I get done, I think. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, though. In fact, we could work it out. How much power does a solar panel give us? It was I want to say 360 kilowatts, but that might be the wind turbine. And then it's 113% solar on this planet, so let's call it 360. If it is 360 kilowatts, or 0.36 megawatts, times 333 of them, times 4 laps around the equator, and divided by 2, because at worst we'll have half of the planet and sun. That is 239.76 megawatts of power. So yeah, not terrible. But yeah, we've done that, and yeah, as you saw there, our first load of empty accumulators have come in, and they are being charged up. So we've got just enough time to finish this ring. Quick look at research, just to see if there's anything semi-useful we can grab. I think that's an inventory space one I ended up getting. So yeah, we'll finish this ring. Have a quick look. That was, yeah, 293 megawatts, I think that said. I only saw it for a second. And then we've got these last 3, 2, 1. Oh no, I can't read. I'm looking at a very small version of this video. That's 3, 2, 1. Yeah, there you go, 200. So if we look closely, we should be able to see the logistics vessel leaving Anaqua and rendezvousing with us on Athala 1. Oh, speaking of Athala, brownie points need to be issued. Someone correctly recognized Athala 1 as coming from the Stargate universe. Not Stargate universe, but Stargate SG-1, like the Stargate property. It is the capital planet of the Asgard, which is a race of aliens there. And as we attempt to follow this accumulator full logistics vessel back, I had a quick look there. Apparently they travel at 600 meters per second at the moment, so I try and match that as closely as I can, just for a bit of fun. It's surprisingly difficult. Yes, and First Landing is the name of the first extrasolar human colony world, and no, not world. The world is actually called Illus, but the township that they settle is called First Landing in the Expanse. Yes, it is the first extrasolar human colony in the Expanse. Okay, so back on this planet now, we should actually be getting a decent amount of power. We've got 3 energy exchangers here, each making 45 megawatts, which will give us more than the 90-something we're using. Unfortunately, the way power priority works in this game is if you have power generation capacity already on the planet, then it will prefer to use that. Sorry, wrong way round. It will prefer to use the batteries rather than the power generation capacity you already have on the planet, which is not what we want. So the only real way I can get around that is to remove all the actual power generation I have on this planet, remove all of the solar panels, I think we've just finished that, and then remove all of those wind turbines. Then, and only then, will we actually be using only the power that we need. We're not wasting any power now. So, Yeah, they're working nice and slowly. Now, because we don't yet have 400 accumulators in the system, we've, well, somewhere between 2 and 400 we've got at the moment, we are not going to be able to run this planet continually. Eventually there will be a gap while we wait for the accumulators to go and get charged, and then come back, and then things will boot up again. But that's fine, that works, I think. So a little bit of an expansion here to coil production, because that was a limiting factor in the accumulator production. And then I think that's about it for this episode. So yeah, while I stand here and charge up, I will say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon.